Good evening, everybody. How are you guys? Hitting the wrong button here. Anne is here and Money Date. I know it's a very special time. Hi, Irina. Thanks for hopping on. It's actually a very special time as we're getting into 2017 Thanksgiving. So I hope that you are all getting ready for it in terms of cooking, shopping, organizing. But I've got to talk to you about a few things as it relates to our finances. So today's discussion is financial gratitude. And how does that impact everything that we do in life? Now, gratitude has been something that completely transformed my life over the last 7 or 8 months. And I thought, what could be a better topic for today's discussion? So I welcome you. As you guys hop on, you need to say hello, leave a comment in the chat. That way I know you're here and you're watching. Also, let me know what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Are you traveling? Are you visiting with family? Are you cooking? I am actually on the other side, not traveling this year, and I am going to be partially cooking. I used to say, all this week I was telling my clients that I was partially cooking, so we're not cooking at all. Decided I'm going to make a few dishes, and the turkey is going to be ordered. So that's where I'm at. Now, Money Date. We get together here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific because we need to make time for our finances. It's just as simple as that. Now, Money Date for me, and why I came up with this idea, is because I wanted to have a dedicated time where I could devote some attention and some of my energy towards figuring out where I am with my finances. It was actually interesting what happened this week because it doesn't happen that often. I got a call from my accountant, right? And when I saw his number on my caller ID, I first got worried. I was like, wow, okay, what is happening? Why is he calling me now? This was actually on Monday. I was like, well, okay, I answered the phone and he had some questions that he wanted to discuss and do some year-end planning. And I was like, wow, okay, that's awesome, right? Because in the past, he was not as attentive to our matters. And so you and I usually had to go to him for that help. So this is just one example, right? And it's just these little things that you've got to put in practice for yourself. So Money Date is hopefully that time of the week. I like Wednesdays because Wednesday evenings, because you can sort of put aside all the day-to-day activities. It's not getting closer to the weekend just yet. And then you can attain to 3 things, right? Money Date came out of my frustrations because I wanted to know where I was in terms of my finances. And there's 3 things that I keep track of, and I encourage you to do the same. They are, number 1, where is your spending? So I need to know for myself, where has been my spending been a week-to-week basis? Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is, where am I in terms of my income? Now, I am on variable income, so it's quite important to know that, right? But even for those of you who have a steady paycheck, do you really have a good idea how much money is coming into your account? What is that net pay? I need you to keep that number in mind. And then number 3 is savings, right? Today, I had 5 meetings with clients, and all of the discussions throughout all day, we talked about those kinds of numbers, right? But I don't want you to sort of say, okay, it's an autopilot, set it and forget it. No, because what helps you stay the course, because we get so distracted, are those 3 things. Now, if this is the first time you're watching, and thanks for hopping on, it's awesome to have you here. I need you to think about implementing that kind of practice. There are lots of different financial tools and apps you can use to give you a sense. But I advocate for always getting your basics under control, because we can talk about really sophisticated investments and strategy and things like that. But if we don't have our foundation under the control, if we don't know where things are, it's going to be very difficult for you to master more complex concepts. So need to know where you are in terms of spending. Holidays are here. I'm sure a lot more of it is going to be happening. Where your income is coming from, and are you earning more income if you need to, and how are you staying on the top of your savings goals. Now, this is the basis of our Money Date. A couple of things that we accomplish here as we get together are things like that. Now, the theme for today's topic and discussion is gratitude in general, right? And I've got some things to relate that to the financial side of things. But I want you to consider this too. Every week, I ask you to pause and reflect back and think about what has been really good in terms of being grateful and recognizing something that has been positive in your life in terms of your finances. We don't think that way, right? Because we just sort of carry through our life, through our daily activities, family responsibilities, businesses, our work, careers, and things like that. But if you look around and you just pause and reflect, there has to be something that has been great, right? It's not great based on what somebody else is describing. It's great based on your definition of greatness, okay? Now, as we get more into our discussion of financial gratitude today, you're going to start seeing it more and more. But here's what it is. I always share my wins. I call them money wins, right, for the week. And so my money win for the week has been, I actually got to spend some time with my husband. We went to Las Vegas this past weekend. And sure, Vegas is a fun place to be, lots of fun, and really enjoyed ourselves. But what I actually realized we were there Friday, Saturday, and got back Sunday evening. And I live really close, so it's only an hour flight, which is a real spoiler for us. But what I also got to realize as we were kind of walking around, we've been there many times, so it's not like the first time touristy kind of attractions, but I sort of pause and reflect because it's such a place that inspires me. My realization for that was it's an inspirational place that inspires me to make money, to go out and create more. And so as I was looking around, right, to see how much of that is there, that was something that I came out with and say, what do I have to do today, right? How can I be better, right? Not just in terms of making money, but how can I be better and more responsible with my finances? And it's not so that I can go back and spend it and enjoy it, but just sort of as a general thought. And I mean, who knew that something like that could come to mind as I was in Vegas? But it is big realization for me, and how, now that we're coming into Thanksgiving and where that's, where everybody's at in terms of that, of realizing what this holiday is all about. Now, this is my favorite holiday of the year, and I wasn't born in this country, so Thanksgiving is not something that I grew up and practiced in my family, but is when my family immigrated in late 90s, that became something that I love up until this day, because it's not about necessarily getting together with your family, but it's a big part of that, and does not involve gifts and being obligated to buy them for everyone. And I talked about this in, I think, a couple of money dates ago, about how we don't have to buy, the gifts don't have to be financially, you don't have to involve finances around your gifts. It could be just memories that you create. And so Thanksgiving for me is particularly important because of that. It's the time you get to spend together. It's the time you get to reflect. So that is my money win. Hi, Laura. Thanks for hopping on. So as we transition in our topic of discussion today, which is financial gratitude, right? Gratitude itself has been such a buzzword, right? There is just so much going on in terms of, gratitude this and gratitude that. But I want you not to take this word lightly, right? Because it's really not. If you pause and you think about it, hi, Laura, thanks for hopping on. Good to have you here. It is really not. And particularly when we translate that into how that relates to our finances, right? I always talk about, different financial concepts. How can you be better with savings? How can you be better with investments? All of these things are fine, right? But at the end of the day, if you're not feeling complete, if you're not feeling fulfilled, right? And you can use the word happy if that describes the feelings you have, then what is the point of all of this, right? And so what I want to talk about today is some of my experiences I've had and how you can apply them in your own life, which practically don't require a lot of time, because frankly, you know, we all want to be smart with our time. So, but I want you to actually, I want to point out to you the definition. Have you ever looked up the definition of word gratitude? So, as I did today, getting ready for the session, but it's actually quality for being thankful, right? So it's not, being thankful is not when something actually just happens to you, right? Some kind of event takes place, but it's actually just reflecting back, right? It's stepping out of, like, you know, this rat race, if you will, that we are running in terms of what we're doing in our lives, and just observing, right, the events and activities that are happening. So, you know, one of the things that, how that ties in closely to finances is actually the exercise I want you to do, right? An exercise is this. I want you to pause and sort of set aside some time. It may be just a quiet time, 10, 15 minutes. If you need more, you know, go for it. Take a list, take a sheet of paper and make a list of all the things that you're grateful for in terms of how it relates to your finances, okay? Now, I want you to think about this. It's not what you should have. It's not what you could do, right? I could earn more money. I could be saving more. I should be spending less. It should be what it is today, how it is now, right? It could be all not that great, right? In terms of what you think or your expectations are, or if you compare yourself to others, which you probably shouldn't. But I want you to think about it where it is today. And so some of the examples of where that might be, you know, you've got, even if you have debt, right? I was thinking about that too. Fine, you have accumulated some debt, so what? It is the current situation, right? But what it allows you to do is step aside, see where you are, and then assess and start planning for how you can get to that better place. So list all the things. Maybe it was just plain simple things like buying a cup of coffee today, or buying yourself lunch, right? Or planning, you know, to do fun activities this weekend. Maybe you're traveling and you're somewhere already spending quality time with your family. So, and what happened actually, and part of what I wanted to discuss with you, and actually wanted to see, so for those of you who are joining, I wanted to share an awesome tool, and I'm willing to actually give it away. It's a journal that I've been writing in quite frequently, pretty much every day, in terms of taking some time before I go to bed to reflect on how my day has been and what are 10 things that I'm grateful for. So for those of you who are watching here, if you would like me to give you a copy of that kind of journal, I'm happy to do that. You've got to share the video and drop a comment in the comment section. For those of you who are watching in replay, if you're interested, drop a note or send me a direct message. I'll be glad to share that with you as well, because it's been quite a transformational practice. So for the last 8 months, I couldn't figure out at the beginning, how can I come up with 10 things to be grateful for? And you know what? A lot of stuff actually has come together for me. So as I started doing that in terms of just anything, right? Anything could come to mind that was happening that day. Now I started to reflect in terms of where was I financially, right? Was I meeting my goals? Was I sharing this with my significant other? So a lot of that is how it translates into the finances, right? So we're not talking about numbers today, because there's more than just numbers in terms of how happy, how successful, how content you can be. Now, holidays, right, and Thanksgiving in particular is a holiday where, you know, we say that we're all grateful for all of these things, but I want you to put this in perspective. If you took just a few minutes every day to reflect on something like that, right? If you took 5 minutes before bed and you wrote out those 10 things you're grateful for. Hi, Blaine, thanks for hopping on. Then imagine how your life can be transformed, because there's so much negativity. There's so much sort of stigma around the finances and money making and all of that. So I propose to you that, because tomorrow is a big holiday and everybody's excited and getting ready to celebrate it, pause and reflect. Your finances could be better because this allows you to step aside, create a clear path, and then you can progress forward. As we're getting closer to the end of the year, it's going to be particularly helpful in terms of setting your goals for 2018, right? I hope that's something that you practice doing in December. And that's all I've got for you today. So challenge me on what gratitude is for you, right? I want to know, how are you practicing something like that? So if it's just once a year spending time with your family, that's awesome. If you've got something else that you're doing, I would love to learn, because that's where I'm at. I always look for ways to grow. I always look for ways to share that with others. And before I close for tonight, I want to share a quote with you. I do love quotes because they particularly signify a message that sometimes you can't quite relay, but if somebody thought it through and I can share it with you, that's what I love to do. So here's the quote for today as it relates to our topic. Gratitude is an inward feeling of kindness received. So think about that. What is gratitude, right? So it is something that you feel inside. Thankfulness is the natural impulse to express that feeling. That is why I want you to think about it and start expressing that feeling, because that is the path of you getting to a point where you feel content and happy and grateful and whatever it is that you feel emotionally. So I hope this was helpful. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy your family time. If you're traveling, be safe. And let me know, Gratitude Journal is a giveaway. I'm happy to share that with you. I'll put a link in the comments below. But you've got to share the video and you've got to drop a note in the comments and let me know that you want in on this journey. Thanks so much for hopping on. Take care and happy Thanksgiving again.